excited to just get you on and talk some ball, but also kind of your outreach here, Joel. I mean, it's near and dear to your heart, giving back to kids, being a part of the community with 19 locations now.
Yeah, we have 19 locations. Listen, we've grown very fast, but it was kind of growth out of not, hey, we're sitting here playing in growth or out of necessity. It was growing out of finding areas that we thought were underserved and having great people come on board with us. And that's why I love, athletics and supporting things like this so much, because it teaches so many things in life. And that's where I kind of got my business acumen from, is being around great leaders from Coach Osborne and Coach Solich and other coaches in the NFL, and learning how to build championship teams. And that's what we took to the business world of recruiting the best management team and letting them do their job, and then recruiting the best, what we call players, as our professional staff. And so it's helped us grow really fast.
Joel Makovicka is with us. You'll be able to see this interview on StreamYard as well. Husker Hall of Fame fullback. What would Joel Makovicka have endorsed during your era with name, image, and likeness?
You know what?
Would there have been a big old Mack truck on the back of your helmet?
I'll tell you what. I thought about that, and the best thing about that is Nebraskans love their fullbacks. So I was I know, and I was like, man, why wasn't this NIL in place when I was there? But I think it would have to be the Mack truck. Also, could I do some nice like swimwear to where I could show off my abs when I was a fullback?
Jeez, you know what? I'm sure this goes back, and you probably get this. The old Lagoons swim trunks.
Yes, I would have done that.
Makovicka would have kept the Lagoons brand alive.
There it was. But I'll tell you, and you probably talked about this. The scary part about the NIL things to me is, how are they going to regulate these kind of things?
It's unknown, it's taxable, and you better be listening to the right people.
Well,
period. Because look at Bama, right? 7 figures.
Yeah, and that's type of the questions I ask, and you would know more about this because you probably talked about this. But let's take, for example, Phil Knight out in Oregon. He already did that to, and I can't remember the defensive ends or the linebackers. Yes, and I think it was like 450,000.
Possible top pick overall, and he's going to have his own gear.
Yes, and so like, what if a guy like Phil Knight says every year, I'm the earmark $50 million and say, you go out and sign 25 recruits, and I know we can't use it in recruiting, but the word is once you sign on the dotted line, I'm going to give each recruit $2 million to say, hey, you're gonna create some Nike gear for me, and people like that could do it. So how do you regulate that?
Well, you get an internship with Warren Buffett.
That is exactly, and that's what I told people. I said we could do it here if Warren Buffett would be a supporter of
the touchdown club.
Exactly. So maybe that's what we should
maybe
do.
I don't know.
Go recruit Warren.
Yeah, Uncle Warren.
Yeah.
You meet Uncle Phil.
Yes.
There we go. Joel, what do you think of the in-state talent, man? You follow recruiting. You love watching high school kids. You were tremendous high school talent, and then obviously you did really well at Nebraska. Mm-hmm. And this setup that Steve put together, Steve Warren, is really awesome for a lot of the kids. Yeah, there's the media side of it, there's the NIL side of it, but above all, they get a chance to hang out, play laser tag, and be dudes with one another.
It's just experiences for these guys, and they get to meet these guys that are going to be recruited to colleges. Some are rising juniors, some are rising seniors, so they're all going to be recruited. They're going to go through the recruiting process, so they'll be able to get contact information, be able to talk and discuss recruiting visits, the whole process. And then also the media attention is an experience for these players to get them that great experience in front of the media. And like you said, I know this isn't just kids from Nebraska and it's kind of kids from the area, but Nebraska's had, starting to get a lot of talent. There's, and I look at this as there's a lot of guys that I played with that are having kids now that are in high school already. And so there's a lot of talent around this state. And I've always felt that this state, we don't have the population base, but there's great talent now. There might not be the numbers, but this state is kind of a state where kids mature later, and I really feel that as they mature a little later. So they're raw when they get to college. So you have to be able to understand, hey, there's a ceiling for this kid and the expectations, and find those guys that you can create. And this is what I said you have to do at Nebraska. Take a 2 or 3 star guy and get him there, develop him, and say, hey, this guy could be really good, and make him into a 4 or 5 star guy, because we're not going to get 13, 14 5-star guys every year. So we need to take those 2 and 3 star guys that we see and we can project to develop them, get them to Nebraska or anywhere in the state. I talk as a Nebraska, University of Nebraska, and make them into 4 and 5 star guys.
You look at you get a 2 or 3 star and you develop them into a 4 or 5 star, or what Bama's doing right now. You're getting 4 or 5,
yes,
and you're sending them out potential Pro Bowl, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, that's fair. But Nebraska really was so good at development. I look at what Iowa State's been doing. Correct. Coach Campbell's been doing that. And I think with Coach Frost in Nebraska, I think they'll have a really good chance. I'm excited to see the offensive line this year, because that's some younger guys that have been a part of the program for a while. You see some of the guys on the defensive side of the ball that played young last year, Robinson and Rogers specifically, Daniels. Those guys have been continuing to elevate. So I think it's there. Let's go to Nebraska football. Incredible schedule, great opportunity, experienced quarterback. Man, it could be fun tomorrow. Of course, Frost and company meet the media. We just got back from Indy with media days, which was a lot of fun to do that. And I think, Nebraska's under the radar, and they're really not thought that highly of. Yeah, they could, but there's not an expectation. There's almost an off the radar aspect of it.
And I think that's good for them right now. And don't you feel, and you were there, the Big Ten Media Day, I feel there's kind of a quiet confidence with them right now.
With the team and the coach.
Yeah, and I think that means they're comfortable. They're comfortable getting the culture where they want to be. And I think there's a quiet confidence, because I think it's kind of like walk softly and carry a big stick. And sometimes the quiet confidence, I like that. And early in his years, he was kind of, not as quiet about it. And because I think he, knew the culture wasn't there, and he was trying to bring his guys along and exude this confidence. And now the coaching staff doesn't have to do that, or the older players, because I think there's this quiet confidence with the whole team. And you hit on it. I think if you look at this roster, I think where you can see the most improvement is our offensive defensive line. I think physically the development has been there, and it'll be interesting to see. Now, I think there's some skill positions that need to step up this year at receiver and the running back spot, but we have some older guys in the secondary that were able to come back. And so, there are very good parts to this team, and I think the coaches, especially Coach Frost, have the culture where he believes it needs to be at Nebraska, and he's going to keep building that, but it is a place where he's comfortable with right now. And again, you said this, Adrian Martinez is going to be a huge key factor for him to A, stay healthy, and B, he's got to play better. And quarterbacks run the show in college football now, and if he could play like a star, there's no telling what this Nebraska team can do.
And Coach Frost sat down with us and said that. He's got the ability to be the player of the year. Totally does. Just take care of the football. But I think the biggest thing with him is to stay healthy, because I think that's your domino, because if he's not healthy, then he's probably forcing it, trying to do too much. I think, Joel, you guys had so much talent on the line and around already really good quarterbacks.
Yes, correct.
And I think just with the upgrade in size of receiver, and then you got to pick the right running back. You've got choices. Pick the right running back early in the season. Let him earn that spot. I think you got a lot of ability to delegate versus having to force it.
Yeah, and like you said, it starts with the offensive line. If they can protect him, and he understands that they can give him a pocket or give the running backs running lanes, I think that settles him down. I think that makes him play up to the level he's capable of, is because I think if he feels like he doesn't have that confidence in them, then he's running around trying to do too much, get rid of the ball too quickly, things like that. So I think it starts with the offensive line. And if we can protect him, I think he has a good year this year.
Joel Makovicka is with us, Hail Varsity Radio, the Future50, Warren Academy putting this on. A ton of prospects you'll hear from. We'll post on social media. Brad Edwards, College Football Insider, his take on Oklahoma and Texas going to the SEC. And Joel, I got a couple of minutes here. We'll let you get out. And thanks for jumping by. And if there was some offense taken to my jabbing, it was done with love.
I get it, man. I mean, how can I be mad at the best voice in radio right
you
now?
are. The check keeps coming to Makovicka. I'm just going to keep handing it that way. Your take here. A lot's happened. I got Trev, now the AD. I love the Moose, but I think Trev's a good thing. What's your take?
You know what? I do think it's a good thing. And I'm a culture guy. I'm a former Nebraska guy. That's who I want in this program. And I think Trev did it right as far as, hey, he was an AD at a smaller division college here in Nebraska and then took him to Division I. I know there's some things that people are still a little bit, lack of a better term, upset with him about what he did. Yeah, pissed at him. But I think it was more kind of the way it went down instead of what he actually did. But, Trev's a smart guy. I think he's going to do a great job. He understands it. And I love what he said at the Big Ten Media Days is he never talked about wins and losses and that. He talked about meeting with the coaching staff and everybody. He talks about his expectations of doing the little things and having a process and focusing on the process, and then you will get to where you need to get. So to me, listen, I think it's a great hire, but I'm one of those guys that I like people that have been around the Nebraska football and I'll say football culture, but all of our sports in the 80s and 90s when we were at the top of everything. And it's kind of like I said, when we built our business, that's what you wanted to do. And I think he has that in him.
Okay, 2 minutes. Frank Solich. Do they bring Frank back for the opener?
You know what? I hope they do. I don't know if Coach Solich will necessarily want to do that. I think Coach has never been a guy that it's about him. And so I think he won't want to do that, but I hope they do. This is a guy that gave everything to the University of Nebraska program. He played here, he coached here. And listen, I tell the guys all the time that ask me about Frank is when I went to the Combine and I had individual meetings with coaches, they all said, hey, we know you can play. We know you were coached by the best running back coach in the country, and that was Frank Solich. And that's how they thought of this guy. And Frank gave a lot to the university, so I know everybody would embrace him back with open arms, but I don't know if Frank eventually he will. I just don't know if it's the opening game and he wants it about him. Listen, this is a tough thing for him, and to do what he's done for so long and then to walk away so suddenly and for why he did, it's tough for him. And so I think he's got to heal from that.
Sure. Joel Makovicka is with us, Hail Varsity Radio Roadshow, the Future50, Warren Academy, and the top prospects in the state of Nebraska here. We'll hear from them. Greg Schmidt on the way, Brad Edwards on the way, Joel Makovicka, Husker Hall of Famer.
Appreciate it, my man.
You got to give the ball to the fullback.
Love it.
We did that today. And, hey, we'll have to sneak you back in at some point before kickoff actually happens.
Let's do it.
We're going to have to get a beer in the rail yard.
I like that.
And you're going to have to dust off those golf clubs. I know they've not been used all summer.
I've seen you golf, and you're too good to golf against me.
I lose $5,000 to my mom.
Well, I mean, if you can lose $5,000 to your mom, I need to get into radio.
Well, it's an IOU. It's as good as mine.
Okay, got it.
All right, we'll spend some time with Greg Smith on the way. It's Hail Varsity presented by the Nebraska Lottery.